The flow of time is always cruel. Its speed seems different for each person, but no one can change it. Hello everyone, I'm Joshua Gillespie, and welcome to Muppet History. In spring of 1964, Jim Henson began work on a project titled Time to Go, an experimental film Jim described as the story of an everyman, frustrated by the typical tasks of a typical day. Jim served as the writer, producer, director, lead actor, and with help from Jimmy Dean's musical director, he also wrote the music, as well as occasional help from Frank Oz and Jerry Jewell, who cameo in the film. And for the first time, there were no puppets. There wasn't even a script, just storyboards and notes with what Jim wanted. He continued to work on it during any chance he got, between Muppet appearances and commercial shoots, before finally finishing the movie in 1965, now titled Timepiece. The film, which runs less than 9 minutes, starts with a man played by Jim Henson being examined by a doctor. The beating of his heart quickly becomes the ticking of a clock and serves as the musical basis as we enter a surreal look into the various moments of the patient's day, combined with animations done by Don Celine, who also cameos. We see things such as crossing the street or working in an office, changing to situations such as swinging across a vine or being part of a conveyor belt. The imagery only grows more bizarre as the film progresses to things such as painting an elephant or literally flying off of a diving board. While Jim never said if he was trying to make a statement with the film, his friends understood what it meant. It was a personal piece. Jerry Jewell once said, "Timepiece is about time and a man running, and I understand that about Jim. Jim was always running from time. There never would have been enough time, and I think he knew that really early." If there needed to be any more evidence as to what this film symbolized for Jim, Timepiece only has one word, and it is said 4 times throughout the film: help. Timepiece is the definition of an experimental film, which Jim did many of during his life. Unlike another film he did, The Cube, which I covered last year, Timepiece contains rapid changing of shots, some of which only last for a second. But it still keeps the crazy visuals throughout and the provoking comparisons. The best example of this, in my opinion, is the striptease scene. By the way, this film is not appropriate for children. Comparing the act of watching a stripper to the animalistic tendencies of a dog, to showing the stripper turn into a roast chicken dancing around and then a skeleton, to then showing a naked toddler running around. It's a fascinating way of breaking down all of these day-to-day activities and how they really have not changed over time. Sure, they may have become a little more sophisticated, but it's essentially just the same thing, whether we're swinging from a vine or walking down the street. Timepiece premiered at the Museum of Modern Art and was then distributed by Paith Contemporary Films to art house theaters, as well as the film festival circuit. Its biggest exposure came from being shown in New York before the French film A Man and a Woman. The only way to truly explain Timepiece would be to describe each and every shot, every scene, but not only would that be a great disservice to the film, it would also be extremely unnecessary. You don't need me to tell you what a shot means. Just watch it yourself and you'll see it. Timepiece is a visual marvel full of creativity that will keep your attention throughout and make you think about things in ways you've never thought about them. It just shows how versatile, but also how brilliant and honestly how innocent and unsure of a man Jim Henson was. Unfortunately, finding the film can be rather difficult. Occasionally it gets uploaded to YouTube but then gets pulled down, understandably. The Jim Henson Company YouTube has a couple clips of it, but it just isn't as good as having the full thing. It was available on iTunes for a short time but has since been removed. But if you ever get the chance to watch Timepiece, please take that chance. It is definitely worth watching, especially if you only view Jim Henson as a children's entertainer. This is far from that. And I think that even 51 years later, this film still stands the test of time.